Everybody, it's the Cartoonkid back again with another fantastic fanfic idea. And today I'm bringing you Kipo in the Age of the Mask. Now, you're probably wondering, why did I come up with this? Well, to be fair, sorry, to be fair, I remember watching an episode of the Mask animated series where uh, well, the mask, listen, Becky accidentally wound up in a sort of, what's, sort of, Planet of the Apes style future, but, with pigs. So I thought to myself, the mask can be, if the mask can be in a sort of post-apocalyptic future, so why not have a story where, well, he's in a world full of mutant humanoid animals, most like Kipo. So, here we are. Story. The explosion that rocked Ratland sent 13-year-old Kipo Oak tumbling the through the underground tunnels, just as fate had always intended. But this time she wasn't alone in her fall. Her 15-year-old brother Marcus had been visiting from the neighboring borough of Timbuktu when the Mega Monkey attack began, and the collapsing infrastructure spilled them onto different paths. While Kipo found herself in the familiar yet alien territory above ground, surrounded by mutant creatures in the ruins of La Vista, Marcus had been swept into a deeper section of tunnel that had been sealed off for decades. In what appeared to be a pre-apocalypse museum and storage area, somehow preserved through the centuries of chaos. He discovered an artifact that would both alter both their decisions. The green wooden mask sat in a cracked display case, surrounded by plaques covered in ancient Nordic runes that Marcus couldn't decipher. The artifact emanated an almost magical pull, whispering wordlessly of power, confidence, and the ability to protect those he loved. Without fully understanding what he was doing, Marcus reached through the broken glass and lifted the mask to his face. Above ground, Kipo was making the discoveries that would shape her journey. Wolf, the hardened surface warrior who moved like a predator, Benson and Dave, the unlikely duo whose friendship defied logic, and the harsh reality that the surface world was a battlefield between humans cowering in burrows and mutes claiming dominion over the ruins. But something felt different this time. The mutes seemed more agitated than usual. The humans were desperate, and scattered reports spoke of a green-faced figure causing unpredicted chaos in nearby territories. When Marcus finally emerged from the underground ruins 3 days later, he was no longer the cautious Book's brother Kipo remembered. The mask of Loki had bonded with his very essence, transforming not just his appearance, but his entire being. His body had taken on an otherworldly green hue. His movements became fluid and impossible, and his mind buzzed with abilities that defied every law of physics he had ever learned. The reunion between siblings was a mixture of joy and terror. Marcus appeared before Kipo's group in a yellow zoot suit that materialized from nowhere, his face bearing an impossible wide grin that seemed carved from mischief itself. His very presence bent reality around him, flowers blooming in his footsteps, gravity seemed optional in his vicinity, and objects appeared and disappeared at his whim. Wolf's survival instincts screamed danger. She had witnessed what happened when people discover old world artifacts buried in the ruins. But none of those stories ended with happy families. Her protective stance around Kipo made her feelings clear, even as Marcus demonstrated his newfound abilities by effortlessly dispatching threats that would have changed the entire group. But Kipo couldn't abandon her brother. Beneath the mask's chaotic influence, she glimpsed moments of the Marcus she knew. Brief instances when genuine concern for his safety overrode the artifact's manic impulses. These fleeting connections became her anchor of hope in an increasingly unstable situation. As Kipo's own Jaguar abilities began to manifest, the parallel between their transformations became impossible to ignore. Her change into a half-mute represented natural evolution, the culmination of her mother's careful genetic experiments. Marcus's transformation was something far more ancient and alien, the influence of a trickster god's magic that had waited centuries for a suitable host. The mask amplified every aspect of Marcus's personality, but twisted them through the lens of chaos. His protective instincts became destructive interventions. His desire to help became elaborate pranks that escalated beyond anyone's control. When Kipo attempted diplomatic solutions with various mute communities, Marcus would sabotage the proceedings with reality-bending stunts that inevitably led to violence. The parents' reunion with both children brought a mixture of relief and horror. Leo's guilt over failing to protect both his children was matched by Song's scientific frustration at encountering magic that defied rational explanation. Song's attempt to study the mask's properties only revealed how far beyond current understanding the artifact truly was. Marcus's relationship with the mask became increasingly complex. He restrained enough of his original personality to understand that something was wrong, but the artifact's influence made him genuinely believe his chaotic interventions were helpful. The mask fed on conflict and discord, making it fundamentally opposed to everything Kipo was trying to achieve. As Kipo worked tirelessly to unite the fractured surface world, Marcus became simultaneously her greatest asset and her most significant obstacle. His reality-bending powers could solve problems instantly, terrorizing Scarlamane's Flamingo army into retreat, transforming Dr. Amelia's weapons to harmless toys, or creating impossible distraction during rescue missions. But each use of the mask's power came with escalating consequences. The artifact's presence began attracting supernatural forces that had remained hidden since the old world's collapse. Ancient enemies of Loki, drawn by the mask's distinctive energy signature, emerged from forgotten, hidden places across the globe. Frost giants launched attacks on Timbercat territory, their ice magic clashing violently with the desert heat. Valkyries descended from hidden mountain strongholds, mistaking the organized mute communities for Midgard settlements that required purging. The careful diplomatic balance Kipo was building between humans and mutes found itself threatened by forces that predated both species' current forms. Every negotiation now had to account for supernatural wildcards that could reshape the battlefield without warning. Scarlamane found the escalating chaos fascinating rather than threatening. The sophisticated mute saw potential in Marcus's unpredictable power, envisioning an alliance where controlled nobility could harness and direct chaotic forces. But Kipo refused to let any faction exploit her brother's condition, even as the supernatural threats continued to multiply. The mask's influence over Marcus grew stronger with each passing day. He began experiencing blackouts, awakening to discover he had spent hours or entire days operating under the artifact's complete control, causing havoc he couldn't remember creating. The mask was systematically replacing his memories with fragments of Loki's ancient experiences. Millennia of mischief, betrayal, and cosmic pranks that had reshaped the entire worlds. During a crucial peace summit that Kipo had spent weeks organizing, Marcus appeared at the negotiation site while fully under the mask's control. The serious diplomatic gathering transformed into a literal three-ring circus, complete with flying acrobats conjured from thin air and trained bears that materialized from Marcus's theatrical justice. It assembled humans and mute delegates found themselves participating in elaborate performances they hadn't agreed to join. The chaos destroyed weeks of careful relationship building in a single afternoon. Dr. Amelia exploded the confusion to launch a coordinated assault on the mute delegates, while Scalamane retaliated by conquering two significant human settlements. The surface world erupted into the very war Kipo had been desperately trying to prevent. Kipo's friends found themselves divided by the crisis. Benson maintained hope that Marcus could be saved from the mask's influence through patience and understanding. Wolf argued that the artifact made Marcus too dangerous to remain free, regardless of their family bond. Even Dave's typical simple perspective on complex situations was strained by the escalating supernatural chaos. The solution emerged from an unexpected source within the mute community. Yumye and Hammerpaw, the noble cat leader whose people maintained the longest oral traditions, revealed that his ancestors have preserved stories about the green-faced chaos bringer from the time before the Great Mutation. Ancient mutant shamans had once encountered the mask's power and developed methods for containing its influence. Not through destruction, which was impossible, but through balance. According to the oldest mute legends, Kipo's transformation represented something far more significant than simple evolution. She was becoming a force of harmony that could stand in an equal counterpoint to chaos itself. But the solution required accepting Marcus completely, mask and all, rather than trying to separate him from the artifact's influence. The ancient wisdom suggested that true harmony wasn't the absence of chaos, but the integration of opposing forces into something greater than either could achieve alone. Kipo's role wasn't to fight her brother, but to embrace him so completely that the mask's chaotic nature would be balanced by her harmonious essence. The final confrontation came when Dr. Amelia's cure technology reached its ultimate expression. A device capable of eliminating all mute genetics from the surface world permanently. Simultaneously, Marcus, driven by the mask's desire for ultimate chaos, decided to transform every human on Earth into a different creature entirely. Both extremes represented the destruction of the balanced world Kipo envisioned. In her full jaguar form, radiating the harmonious energy that controlled all living things, Kipo faced her brother as he wielded the complete power of Loki's ancient magic. The battle wasn't fought with claws and supernatural abilities, but with will, love, and the fundamental forces they each represented. Every chaotic spell Marcus conjured, Kipo countered with harmonious energy. When he summoned reality warping storms, she brought supernatural charm. When he created maze-like barrier that defied physics, she opened clear paths through her sheer force of peaceful intentions. The conflict became a dance between order and chaos, each force pushing the other to greater heights of power. The turning point came when Kipo stopped trying to fight the mask's influence and instead embraced her brother completely, whooping him into a physical embrace while he was mid-transformation. Her mute abilities, powered by unconditional love rather than fear or anger, began to resonate with what remained of Marcus's true self beneath the artifact's supernatural influence. The mask couldn't be removed, but it could be balanced. Kipo's harmony-inducing abilities created a permanent psychic link between the siblings, allowing her to anchor Marcus's identity whenever the artifact attempted to consume his personality completely. Marcus learned to work with the mask rather than be controlled by it, channeling its chaotic powers towards constructive solutions rather than destructive pranks. Together, they became a force that neither order nor chaos could match alone. Kipo's diplomatic skills opened doors between communities that had been closed for generations, while Marcus's reality bending abilities solved infrastructure problems that would have taken years to address through conventional means. When human and mute settlements needed rebuilding, Marcus could literally reshape cities overnight. When complex negotiations reached deadlocks, he his theatrical presence made abstract concepts tangible and acceptable. Dr. Amelia's cure technology was repurposed into a tool for helping mutes who chose to modify aspects of their mutations, transforming a weapon of genocide into an instrument of personal freedom. Skullman found his manipulative schemes consistently outmaneuvered by opponents that would match his flair for the dramatic while maintaining genuine compassion for all parties involved. The surface world continued to face significant challenges. Supernatural threats still emerged periodically, drawn to the mask's presence. Tensions between different communities required constant attention and meditation. The simple logistics of rebuilding civilization after centuries of chaos demanded enormous resources and coordination. But now, these challenges were met by harmony and chaos working in balance, creating solutions that neither pure order nor pure disorder could achieve independently. One year after the final confrontation, the surface world had evolved into something unprecedented in its history. Human, mutes, and supernatural entities coexisted in a dynamic balance that shifted constantly but never collapsed. The ancient underground boroughs had been transformed into vibrant subterranean cities connected to thriving surface communities through transportation networks. that blended advanced technology with magical conventions. Marcus, still bearing the mask, but now in complete control of his identity, served as an ambassador to supernatural entities worldwide. His unique position allowed him to help other ancient artifacts and magical beings find peaceful niches within the new society, preventing the kind of reality threatening conflicts that had once seemed inevitable. Kipo had become exactly what her name suggested, a living bridge between worlds. Her jaguar abilities evolved beyond simply harmony between human and mute to encompass the balance between order and chaos, ancient magic and modern science, individual freedom and collective responsibility. From the walls of New La Vista, a city that was part archaeological preserve, part wonderland, and entirely unique, the Oak siblings watched the sunset paint their impossible world in shades of gold and possibility. Below them, human children learned an ancient wisdom from mute elders, while supernatural spirits helped tend community gardens that grew both mundane vegetables and plants that existed only in dreams. Marcus conjured a small rainbow that spelled out messages of hope in a dozen languages before dissolving into sparks that rained down on the evening market crowds. The gesture was pure Marcus, theatrical, unnecessary, and absolutely perfect for the moment. Their world still needed constant attention, careful balance, and the occasional reality bending intervention to keep various factions from destroying each other, but it was their world now, shaped by harmony and chaos working together to create something that neither could have achieved alone. Some stories end with resolution, others transform into new beginnings that stretch towards infinite possibility. The end. So, yeah, that was essentially my best interpretation of a crossover between Kipo, the Age of Wonder Beasts, and The Mask. Anyway, this is pretty much all I got for right now, so please be sure to like, favorite, and subscribe if you kind of like this idea. And if you do like it and want to use it, maybe improve upon it a little bit, all I simply ask is great for the idea. Okay, bye!